For over a decade, the NYPD has been secretly designating mosques as terrorist organizations. And the reason that they've been doing that is that it makes it much easier for the NYPD to plant informants in the mosques, to record conversations, sermons, to possibly bug the mosques themselves, plant people on the boards of these mosques and things of that sort. Now, historically, the reason that they had to do that was it goes back to 1971. There was a lawsuit dubbed the Hanshu case that made it much more difficult for the NYPD to conduct spying. At that point, they had been spying on different protesters and liberal organizations during the Vietnam War. Now, after 9/11, a judge went back, took a look at the Hanshu case, and in 2003, made it significantly easier. And now, even without any evidence of specific wrongdoing, the NYPD can designate these mosques as what are called TEIs, and they have been doing that. Within 8 months of that decision in 2003, they'd already dubbed 10 different mosques as terrorist organizations. And they've been conducting surveillance ever since.
Yes, just let me make a point about how we're all being watched, okay? Like the NSA leak indicates that the NSA is looking at everything we're doing, whether it's our emails, our phone conversations. But if you happen to be Muslim, you get like a little extra attention, right? The NYPD decides that they're going to really focus and hone in on your activity. And by the way, let me just note, this isn't surprising to me at all. The NYPD was going after students at NYU for absolutely no reason, no probable cause, no nothing. These are college students going to one of the best universities in the country, and they treated them as if they were terrorists, going on rafting trips, following them around to see if they were doing anything wrong. It's ridiculous. We live in a freaking police state, and this is the type of stuff that people should be outraged about. But again, they're asleep behind the wheel, and they allow it to happen because everyone thinks, oh, I'm innocent. There's nothing going on in my email or in my phone calls.
Yeah. So the scope of that program was interesting because, of course, as Anna and I have covered a lot, it wasn't just NYU. It was a lot of the schools in New York. But what's interesting is it was also schools outside of New York. They went and tracked perfectly innocent kids at Rutgers. Like they're out of their jurisdiction, they're doing something illegal and unconstitutional, and this is basically Ray Kelly and Mike Bloomberg saying, I don't give a damn what your laws are, we're above the law, we're not going to follow any constitution, we're not going to follow any law. Reasonable suspicion, probable cause, that was back when we had a democracy and rule of law and a constitution. We don't care about this. One of the guys running this program said, the Hanshu case and the laws regarding what we need to do, that was before 9/11. Oh, so what happened after 9/11? We became a lawless land, and by the way, Al-Qaeda won. They got us to trash all of our laws. Thank you so much, Ray Kelly and Bloomberg. And one other note that's really important in this case, NYPD is so outrageous that when they worked with the FBI in these cases, the FBI said, we refuse to do anything you're doing. They said, we're not going to bug the mosque. We're not going to do this stuff. That's crazy. That's not legal under federal law, and we're not going to participate in it. So if you've got the FBI saying, I don't want any part of that, okay? NYPD is so outside of the bounds of law. I mean, whether it comes to stop and frisk, which has also just been ruled unconstitutional, that's where they target mainly blacks and Latinos. This program where they target mosques. So it's not to protect and serve, it's to protect and serve white people, okay? And particularly privileged, rich white people in Manhattan. Everyone else is a target. They're not the population. One of the guys in the case, I'm sorry, John, one of the guys in the case said, I don't get it. I'm an American. Don't I have rights? And the answer is, if you live in New York City, Ray Kelly and Bloomberg think, no, you don't have, if you're a rich white banker in New York, you got all the rights in the world, and we will protect you against the people. If Occupy rises up, we will work with you, we will monitor them, and we will crush them and move them out for you. But if you're anyone else, we view you as the enemy. You're black and Latino. Let me see what you got. I don't give a damn that I'm wrong 88% of the time. I'm going to stop and frisk you. If you're Muslim, I'm going to go to your house. They went to weddings. I'm going to go to your wedding. I'm going to go to your thing. And look, one other thing. I'm on a rampage. Sorry. Okay. Look, if you say some of these mosques are trouble, I hear you. One of the mosques, the blind sheikh, the guy who did the World Trade Center bombing back in 1993, he used to go all the time, right? Now, if you got a reasonable suspicion, I'm going to be right there next to you, man. Let's go get him. Because I hate the fundamentalist speeches. Look, I told a story earlier in the week. I walked out of a mosque last time I was in Brooklyn and never went back because the guy started doing an anti-Semitic sermon, okay? I got no interest in that. But you can't, without reasonable suspicion, assume that all these Americans are guilty, okay? So it doesn't matter how much I don't agree with them. You have to have suspicion, otherwise we don't live in America anymore.
Right, we live in a system where you're guilty until proven innocent, and people will continue to keep an eye on you to make sure that you remain innocent, and that's problematic because it is a form of intimidation. I mean, if you know that this type of surveillance is taking place, I mean, especially if you're a Muslim, you're not going to want to say anything that goes against the government. And I mean, now you're living in like China where you can't say something against the government without being afraid.
Yeah.
You know, it's problematic.
Yeah, in a way it shows how short-sighted the plan with the NYPD was, because let's say for the 6 months or even a year after 9/11, if they had to have something like this in place, I was in New York during 9/11, I probably would have been for it. When everything was just so helter-skelter and we didn't know what was going on and we were trying to find people that we thought were still here and sell. We are now, 12 some odd years, off of 9/11, and if we're still doing this type of stuff, there is something so fundamentally wrong with how we're trying to catch bad people. That's the problem. It's not, to me, this is a duration issue, not the specifics of it. That there was a time that maybe this would have been okay. We are way past that time at this point.
Or I would say would have seemed okay, and I can understand. I was in Connecticut at the time. Yeah, I think everybody in America felt a little bit differently about this sort of thing. I think that we were wrong at that time. I think we should have stuck to the constitutional principles that the country was founded on, but emotionally we would have been more okay with it. And yeah, so like you said, the duration is certainly disconcerting. I mean, they followed, you said at the weddings, they followed guys for like 4 years, never found anything. They investigated these mosques for multiple years, haven't found anything. They've tried to plant people on the boards. And of course, if you're a member of that organization, how do you like with this book that we're discussing right now is going to come out and say that they've been at your mosque for years now? One of the leaders says, and I'll jump ahead to graphic 7 here, "I have never felt free in the United States. The documents tell me I am right." And in just a minute after Anna, we're going to go to basically an admission by Ray Kelly that they're doing this. But
I just want to make a point about how we're wasting resources on a non-issue in the country, right? People that do not pose a threat to society. At the same time, the Department of Homeland Security actually cut its staff when it came to focusing on right-wing extremism in the country. And right-wing extremism, if you look at the numbers, has been increasing steadily, especially after 9/11 and especially after President Barack Obama was elected. So that's a real threat right there that we need to focus on, whether it's these neo-Nazis that are popping up in the most conservative parts of the country, people who consider themselves sovereign citizens. That's been an issue as well. But no, let's not focus on that. Why don't we focus our resources on Muslim college students and people that are, practicing their religion at mosques? Mm-hmm. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And so we're basing this on a number of articles that were written for the AP and a book that's about to come out. Now, Ray Kelly, I'm going to jump ahead in just a second, Jesus. Ray Kelly has been saying that, look, this is just a book. It's all based on fiction. This hasn't actually been going on. But then in video 4, he goes on to basically admit that this is exactly what they've been doing.
We put these programs in 3.5 months after 9/11, 3.5 months after 2,800 people died on this island about 3 miles away.
There's no truth in that the New York Police Department is labeling some mosques and the city terrorist organizations?
We have an agreement, a Henshaw agreement, that has been authorized by a federal judge. We follow that agreement to the letter, or that stipulation, I should say, and it authorizes us to do a whole series of things. Certainly, investigations are part of it.
You do agree that entire mosques should not be labeled terrorist organizations,
absolutely,
right?
Of course.
Yeah, he says that, but then when he's talking about it was a really dangerous time, there was a big threat to the country, when he's talking about the threat while denying that they're doing it, that to me is his "you can't handle the truth" moment. Like, you're admitting that you're doing it.
No. It was very clear. He totally admitted they were doing it, and then he said, "Oh, well, we shouldn't." Right. Except you did, but we already know you did.
He just had his James Clapper moment. He had his, not wittingly, while he was scratching his head, because he knew he got caught. He said what he said, and then he was going, well, not exactly what we do, but we have to do it.
Right. And so a couple other notes. The book is, by the way, the story is broken by Adam Goldman and Matt Apuzzo from the Associated Press. If those two reporters' names ring a bell for you, it's because those are the two guys that the Obama administration was trying to shake down for their sources. That's why they tapped the phones of the Associated Press and looked at 20 different reporters, their offices, etc. And because they're like, these guys are dangerous. They're actually breaking stories. And we can't have that. Yep. Someone actually reporting truthfully about what the government is doing, let's clamp down on them. So that's part of the intimidation that Anna was talking about. To the FBI point, they followed this one guy with the New York City Police Department for about 4 months, 6 months along those lines, and then they said, okay, we got nothing on him. It doesn't look like he's doing anything. We got to go. We can't keep following this guy. And NYPD was like, of course we can. Who cares that we don't have anything on him? They follow him for another 4 years. That's the guy whose wedding they went to.
I don't get it though. Like, why? Why? Like,
It's
if you
because
can't
New
find
York is such a small town. There's nothing to do if you're a cop there. You got to find entertainment for yourself.
So, what it is plain old bigotry. I mean, and look, and goes to the core of what's wrong with this, right? Look, if you did it to churches or synagogues, you labeled a church a terrorist organization, you did it to 10 or 15 churches, do you have any idea how quickly you would be removed from office? Or if in the middle of New York City you said, well, I had to go declare the whole synagogue a terrorist organization because, they're Jews. What do you think happens to you? Okay, you're gone. So when you say to mosques, you're different. When you're an American citizen, we didn't really mean it. It doesn't really count, okay? We're going to treat you differently because of 9/11 or whatever else you want to say. Well, then you've ruined the idea of America. That's the central problem. I don't care if it's a Buddhist, Hindu thing, whatever it is. I don't care if the Buddhists bombed us. We don't get to declare all Buddhists non-Americans, even though they're American citizens and they don't have the same rights as us. That's not how the country's supposed to work.
Yeah, and in that case, you're actually giving fodder to create extremists. So let's say in any of this, in a church, in a mosque, in a temple, there were 3 extremists out of thousands of people that go to any of these places. Well, then this gets exposed, and then all you've done is for the hundreds of other people that attend services there, all you've done is now made them more extreme because they feel they're under the gun suddenly. And then you're creating the exact problem that you say you're trying to avoid.